I just realized I've been saying a saying wrong. I thought the saying was losing the forest through the trees, but it's actually losing the forest for the trees. Um, and if you're not familiar with that saying, Merriam-Webster defines it as to not understand or appreciate a larger situation, problem, etc., because one is considering only a few parts of it. And so that brings me to the topic of today, which, if you're not familiar, hello, my name is Mickey. This is my One Take Soul series where I talk to you about random fucking topics and just do it in one take. And we talk and we hang out and we chill. So, welcome. Today's topic is being honest about your goals. Um, and so the reason I bring up this saying is because, if you've been following along with the past handful of videos that I've made this year so far, I've been talking a lot about freelancing, about making money, gaining independence through monetary action. I don't know, accumulation, things like that. And yeah, it can easily be, you know, when you're approaching these sort of things and these decisions where you're like, okay, like I want to make more money, I want to feel more financially secure, I want, to acquire these things that push me further in life, enable me to do more in life, things along those lines. Um, you know, Inherently there is a question of what are you willing to do for it, you know, um, and inherently with that there are lines that you don't want to pass or cross. You want to stay on the line that you're good with, right? That's the goal. But at the same time, you're going to be approached with situations and possibilities, opportunities that you have to debate whether they align with your goals or not, with what you want to do. And it's difficult because if my goal is to make more money, well, then, on a fundamental level, approaching it then says, okay, let's say yes to every opportunity then. But realistically, that's not how the real world works. That's not how people work. It's not how I work. I can't possibly say yes to everything for a number of reasons. One being, I am a finite person with finite resources and time to provide. And so, therefore, you must make decisions. You must make choices somewhere along the lines. And that is the current problem that I am facing. I recently had some initial consultations with a potential client who is basically looking to get a massive list of marketing done on a regular basis. And while I do generally feel capable of producing those things with the potentiality of a positive outcome, and I'm interested / curious about, gaining not only the money, sure, whatever, but like a testimonial of like a successful outcome for those kinds of marketing services. Um, just I just don't know if I want to do it, you know? Not to mention the amount of stuff that they want to get done on a regular basis is probably too much for me to handle. I mean, I'm struggling enough as it is to just like do what I've got right now and then on top of that, like, be a good person, do my dishes, cook food, take care of myself, things like that. Like like right now, this week, and I'm struggling to get everything done. And it's hard. It's a hard like feeling to fight against this capacity stretch of and like muscle growth in that sense, like of how much you can get done in a certain amount of time as your usual person. And so the idea of acquiring another customer, client, with such a big ask on a regular basis is scary. It's a scary thought, not to mention the amount of money that I feel like would be a fair thing to charge is pretty high. It's pretty high. I don't think that they would be able to. I wrote up this whole email to them with like, here's what I would do, here's the number that I would do it for. I don't think they'd be able to afford it anyway, because it's not cheap. And not to mention, like, at that level, like, you might as well start going to talk to like marketing agencies who do this all day, you know. And then that in therein becomes the question of, you know, is this what I want to do, you know? And then with that, I start thinking pretty deeply about, you know, this path that I'm going down, about acquiring these clients who need, you know, graphic design and video editing and things like that. And generally speaking, those two sectors I'm pretty happy with. I enjoy. But when you start getting more into the weeds of like, this is effective and this will get you customers and this will convert leads and all these sort of things, and it's not something that I'm very versed in fundamentally. I study it a lot. I study a lot about online marketing and things like that. I have for years now, but I haven't really put it into practice much, you know? And that's scary. It's a scary thought, to ask someone for a large amount of money in return for possibly being able to get them results, you know? And so perhaps that's not my lane. I mean, yes, it could be a good opportunity to practice that, to try it out, to see how that goes. But at the same time, I do have to ask myself, like, is this something I'm actually interested in doing, you know? I don't know if it is. I'm just not sure. So therein lies the topic of the day, which is being honest with yourself about your goals. If I am being honest with myself, if I'm being honest with you, what are my goals? My goals are to have enough financial independence to do kind of whatever I want as far as my... It's hard because, like, you know, I want to do whatever I want. It's like, okay, well, at a certain point you're sacrificing time for something, right? You're sacrificing your time for monetary gain of some kind. And generally speaking, freelancing seems like a decent path for that, because I'm trading some of my time for some money. And that sounds good. But if it winds up spiraling into me working 60 hours a week, well, does that really sound worth it? Does that really sound like a ideal way to go? I don't know. I don't think so. It sounds shitty. It sounds like a real uphill battle on a constant level, which is dangerous, because then you're just going to get yourself into, you know, a burnout situation and be very unhappy with yourself and your situation and your surroundings and everything. So, don't want that. It's a dicey thing. It's a dicey thing going down this path, and then, you know, considering, you know, trading expertise and time for money, with people who also have limited resources themselves. It's, you know, it's scary. And I suppose that's all just imposter syndrome too, you know, like, I know I'm capable of some things, and I know I'm capable of providing value. But yeah. So what are my goals? My goals are, plainly, I want to have more free time for creating, for art making. I want to have enough financial independence and flexibility to do that from anywhere. And yeah, that's kind of about it. The long-term large goal is to be able to have a house in the forest. That is the one big goal that I have. Which, I don't know. In the grand scheme of things, there's some things that are questionable about that. Um, am I just seeking isolation, things like that? But I do think it's possible to have a house in the forest while still being in a community. You know what I mean? So a part of a community, theoretically speaking. That's a whole other topic, though. But anyway, being honest with yourself about your goals then asks, you know, in what ways do you want to get there? And generally speaking, graphic design I'm very passionate about. I enjoy a lot. Video editing I'm very passionate about. I enjoy a lot. Design things in general I'm pretty into and stuff. But ultimately, if I were really being honest with myself, what I really want is to provide so much value via entertainment and art that people, you, whomever, pay me for simply doing those things, and or potentially, like selling art, for money and things like that. That's all sounds very exciting, and I think that's it's hard to it's hard to say, but I feel like that's like that's the main thing that I want. I want to provide so much value and be that person to enough people that they want to just pay me for it, Which, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a moonshot sort of thing. But there are many people out there who do it, Of course, with 200, 300 Patreon subscribers and monthly ad deals, things like that. That makes it possible. But, is that the path I want to go down? Kinda, I guess, yeah. I mean, it seems like an honest way to go, If what I want to do is just make things that I feel passionate about, that I think express a piece of myself or a piece of the world that I believe we all want to live in, I think that's valuable. And I think, if anything, the world is just going to keep going towards artists and makers, and as we continue down this machine learning path and automation of everything. I mean, if we go the full end of that and assume things work out pretty well, there's going to be a call for universal basic income, and then all that's going to be left is creativity and doing things for the sake of doing them with no real agenda, because your sort of financial needs are being met by fundamental output, fundamental output being by, like robots and AI and stuff in these capitalistic systems. Of course, universal basic income does lean you towards more socialism and things like that, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to talk about things without trying to add, caveats to everything, but that's just me. So yes, I think fundamentally it is a question of, what's getting me closer to in touch with my creativity, and what's getting me closer to spending my time the way I want to spend it, but that also being transactionally valuable to somebody else. And so I think, for me right now, that's graphic design and video editing and things like that, pretty narrowly. But it's hard because, video editing is expensive, it's time consuming. it's something that I feel like everyone should kind of learn too if they're looking to get into video and things like that. Like if they're a small business owner who wants to make video content because that's what they think they should be doing. And yes, I mean, video content is a good way to reach people nowadays. I do think that it's important to invest some time into learning it yourself. But at the same time, I mean, that's what these sort of transactions are for, is because, small business owners might not have any time at all to do that. And that's fair, like they shouldn't have to if they don't want to. And if they have the money to pay for somebody else to do it for them, then why not, and graphic design is even trickier because, we have things like Canva and, AI sort of taking a big step into design in general. It then sort of creates this question of, longevity for professional designers. But I also think that there kind of will always be a space for professional design and things like that. And not to mention, people just won't want to put in the time to learn Canva or to finick with their AI designs and things like that. So I think there will always be a space for that. But yeah, that's the two areas that I feel like freelance-wise that I'm very interested in. And then, I think beyond that, really what I should be doing is focusing on making more art. God, it's been months since I've made any art, and it's sad. It's sad. Is this resonating with you at all? I don't fucking know. It's hard because, my default response is yes, I'll just do anything anybody asks me for money because duh. But if that's just going to pull me farther and farther and farther away from what my goal actually is, then by the end of the day, I'm not going to be anywhere near what I want, where I'm heading, where I'm trying to head, what I think would actually provide sort of a equilibrium of satisfaction and struggle, because I think there is value in struggling, and I think there is value in working to achieve things. It sort of imbues intrinsic value on things, but at the same time, if the struggle is not met with equal satisfaction at the end of it, or satisfaction, things like satisfaction, I'm drawing a blank on words, but if you feel fulfilled from that struggle afterwards, then cool. I think it's a good equilibrium then. But generally speaking, I don't know, marketing stuff, that doesn't sound very satisfying. I was watching a YouTube video last night about manipulative / coercive video game ads you see on Instagram and things like that, where the game in the ad is not the game that you download. And the reason for that being that, a lot of people are very interested in the game that's in the ad, so they get 100 million downloads. 98% of those people will not like it because it's not the game in the ad and uninstall it or whatever. But then 2% of those people will be people who get very addicted and spend buttloads of money on the game itself that it actually is. And the point of those corporations that make those games, that make those ads, are about coercing people into spending money, as much money as possible, through manipulative methods, and it's just not, I'm not saying all marketing is that way, because that's not exactly true, but it's just not something I'm very interested in. Very interested in transparent marketing, very holistic type of marketing, which I think it is possible and a lot more appreciated nowadays than it has been historically. especially with the size of people selling things, like the amount of people selling things. It's not tied to just like corporations anymore trying to sell things. It's like, tons of very, very small people selling things. So it's yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I'll show you my cousin's. My cousin reached out to me a little bit ago to have her website redesigned onto Squarespace. So I got the opportunity to use Squarespace for the first time. Um, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll show you what I designed. Da, 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 so yeah, this is the redesign. I don't know. I'm very impressed by Squarespace. Gotta admit, it's very, very cool. A lot of good stuff here, and it made this very fun to design. So yeah, this is the landing page. There's a services page with the different types of services she has, things like that. And yeah, it's very cool. It's a very cool website. Yeah. The reason that I bring that up is because it's a struggle to make things like this, but at the same time, it's very satisfying. I really enjoyed making this. I mean, there was a struggle of, dedicating the time to do it and things like that, of course, blah, 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 just the inherent sort of friction of doing anything, really. But it was very satisfying to have results that look like this. And I would say, if you are considering making a website for yourself, definitely check out Squarespace. Their designer is like super nice. Very, very nice, I would have to say. I might consider that for myself, honestly. So anyway, I hope I hope this resonated with you in some way. And I would definitely advise you to definitely take a cold, hard look at what you want out of your life. And there's things that you can't control. I mean, we all need a job to pay our bills and shit. So I mean, it's not that I like love my job that much that it's like what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's not really the case. Otherwise, I wouldn't be trying to replace it with freelancing. But we all have to do things we don't want to do. But when you're put into a position where you do have a choice of what kind of work you're going to do, I mean, you should be asking yourself what it actually is that you want to do, what you actually find satisfaction from struggling for is, So, yeah. I will talk to you soon, probably. I still need to edit the birthday video, which I've been putting off because, one, been busy, and two, I'm nervous. It's been a while since I've edited like a personal video, because the last myriad of videos I've done are these where I don't edit them at all. So, which works because it makes it a very low friction idea or thing to do, but it's been a while since I've made an actual video, so I want to put a lot of really thoughtful work into it, which I'm nervous about. So we'll see. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Hope you had a good 4th of July. Hope you're really, really not spiraling about the current state of the United States, because that's certainly easy to do. But gonna try not to. Anyway. Okay, I'll let you go. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.